She is the spark plug at the top for BYU.
Texas will turn to Citlali Gutierrez, the sophomore out of Stamford, Texas, for the series finale here against BYU. And we are underway. Gutierrez trying to rebound after a rough start against Houston last week, where she allowed 4 earned runs in just a third of an inning. 16 pitches is all she lasted in that Houston start.
Yeah, Gutierrez just throwing over the white too much. Got ahead in some counts, but unable to put the Cougar hitters away. They were able to capitalize 3 home runs. So Coach White, Coach Patty Ruth Taylor, looking to get her back out there, get some action, but see a little bit of adjustments, being able to find the corners today.
Before that game against Houston, she had thrown 13 2/3 consecutive scoreless innings. Defensively for Texas, a few changes. Katie Simmons behind the dish, catching balls and strikes from Gutierrez. Jolie Mitchell getting the start at third base. And behind her, Mia Scott starting in left field. Here's Vivi Martinez, her usual spot at shortstop for the first out.
The depth of Texas allows them to have so many different defensive lineups and not really miss a beat. Being able to utilize 3 catchers in a 3-game series is going to help in the long run. Reese Atwood, Katie Stewart, Katie Simmons, all going to have fresh legs come the tail end of season if they can continue to rotate all 3 of them back there.
Count 0-1 to Maddie Bejarano. She put BYU up 3-2 midway through that last game, but the Cougars couldn't hold on. Pitching wise, we've seen Mac Morgan in both games now for Texas. Started the first one, got the complete game shutout, and came on in relief of Tegan Cavan earlier today. Texas now 23-3 on the year after winning game 2 of this series. Mike White's squad 4-1 in the Big 12 so far this year. For BYU, 16-8 overall, 1-4 in their first season in the Big 12. And these 2 teams playing a doubleheader today to avoid weather tomorrow. Bejarano, Martinez busy early on. Gordon Eakin in charge of the Cougars in his 22nd season. More than 800 wins on his resume.
Well, Eakin has to be pleased with the adjustments his team made from last night to game 1 today. We talked to him and he said, just wanted to see them compete. That was the message, was if we get beat competing, we can handle that, but we cannot handle not competing every pitch of the game. Cougars made a good run at it in that game, as we mentioned, being able to break through and score, but at the same time, the score of 7-3 doesn't really tell the tale of how close it was for majority of the game.
Swing and a miss. Lily Owens, a .415 hitter. This offense came into this series lights out, averaging more than 7.5 runs per game, but they were shut out in the opener and scored 3 runs in game number 2.
Coming into the weekend, looking at the 2 teams' offenses, thought it might be a battle of the offenses, see whose power plays out. But for Texas, you look at the weekend and the big stat is going to be Mac Morgan and how well she kept BYU at bay. Only 1 ball left the infield in her entire time so far in this series.
A 2-2 with 2 away. Simmons, it is windy out there, just in between games. Over the last half hour, the wind picked up.
Record here at Texas.
First pitch to the leadoff hitter, Caden Henry, misses from Kate Daly, who started last night's contest, gave up 4 runs, 2 earned, and 4 walks in an inning. Caden Henry, meanwhile, what a tear she has been on. Coming off 6 straight multi-hit games.
Well, the freshman offensively has a lot of tools. She has power. She can leave the yard. She has speed. We saw her stretch a single into a double in the 6th inning of game 1 today.
Well, and already we have high drama here. After 1 pitch to a Texas batter, another pitcher, Mata, has had to come out and offer up some equipment to Daly.
Face mask. Got to fit right. You don't want it wobbling around, getting in your eyes.
Okay, 1-0 on the way to Caden Henry, the freshman out of Dickinson, Texas. Third base creeping in as Henry fouls one off. Texas averaging right around 9 runs per game. Hitting about 400 on the year as a team.
Talking about the dynamicness of Caden Henry and the fact that she has power, she has speed, but you see there she shows short game. She has good control of the bat head as well.
Henry smokes one past Kamoku. She's flying around first, and Caden Henry starts things off with a leadoff double.
Well, almost an identical start to this game by Caden Henry. She got one past Kimoku, almost in the same spot. This one harder, though, getting farther out into the gap. Extra base hit for Texas right out of the gate.
Here's Mia Scott. She's reached in 15 straight. Texas has scored in the first inning of each of the previous 2 games.
Well, Mia Scott following Caden Henry is just speed behind speed. And Texas has had the advantage to be able to do that for the last few years with the athletes they recruit, to have so much speed that continues to put pressure on the defenses. But at the same time, as corners, you have to respect the short game because they'll be able to drop it. You can't just assume that they're going to play for the RBI hit right now.
2-1 from Daly, and Henry catches the defense napping. Fourteenth stolen base of the season, and already there will be a meeting in the circle.
Well, as a freshman, Mia Scott did this quite often, but you see Caden Henry not going back to the bag, but Morrow not checking her at all, and as soon as Morrow flips to the pitcher, Caden Henry takes off easily, steals third.
So the double from Henry, the stolen base, the count 2-1 in Mia Scott's favor.
Well, and that's just a mental lapse right there by Morrow, not to keep her eye on Caden Henry. Henry was off the bag far enough that you don't just flip it to your pitcher. You have to make sure the runner knows that you have your eye on them.
Mia Scott had 75 hits a year ago. That was tied for the 5th most in Texas history in a single season. And the year before that, she had the 4th most. Off to another terrific season. Is that one out of the glove of Morrow? Henry slides home, and she's safe. Texas Texas grabs the 1-0 lead.
This pitch was up in the zone and Morrow wasn't able to handle it. The attempt to get Henry at home, but Henry easily under the glove of Dolly. Texas putting the pressure on early.
Scott into foul territory. Agbayani chasing it, unable to get to it. Well, Mike White told us coming off the Houston series and the LSU game, a concern of his was the first inning. And all their losses this year, the other team has scored first. It has been the opposite situation in this series in Austin. Texas has scored in the first inning in all 3 games.
Well, and that's the key for the Longhorns, to get the momentum and hold on to it.
Momentum here early. First 2 batters have reached. Kristen Zaleski and Mia Scott discussing the situation. Here comes Jolie Mitchell, starting at 3rd today. Well, we saw Daly start the game yesterday, move to right field, and then come back in the game.
BYU using that flex spot in the lineup to its entirety yesterday, being able to mix pitchers quite a bit. We saw Agbayani at shortstop come in, but Gordon Eakin and Pete Meredith doing a good job of being able to manipulate the lineup without full substitutions, so not burning any pitchers and hitters as well.
Runner is going. The throw wide, but recovering is Agbayani to make the tag on Scott. Nice play by the veteran shortstop.
This ball low and out. From the naked eye, it looked like it was going to be way wide, but you see Mia Scott going to the back corner of the bag. Not so sure if she doesn't go straight in, she might beat the tag, but great throw and more great handle by Agbayani to get that first out.
Agbayani, the West Coast Conference Defensive Player of the Year for a reason. Count 3-1 on the way to Jolie Mitchell, with now 1 away. Mitchell continues to deliver. First 3 batters have reached for Texas. Reese Atwood coming up for the Longhorns. Atwood has already surpassed her RBI total from a year ago. 2 hits in the previous game, and had a 2-run single last night. And Kat, you were noticing that she may have altered her stance a little bit recently.
Yeah, so Reese Atwood made a change in the mid-year last year, which led to her hot hitting. She got a little bit lower in her legs, wasn't as tall, but after the hot start, cooled off a little bit, has made some changes again. You see her back to being a little bit taller. Also see her front side open a little bit. Her and coach Steve Singleton working on getting a feel of her swing back, making some adjustments to keep it simple right now.
That one gets away from the catcher, so Mitchell advances to second.
Without an off-speed pitch that home plate umpire Kaylee Young is going to say Reese Atwood offered at, but at the same time got away from Morrow, allowing Jolie Mitchell to get herself in scoring position. Well, Dolly already making an adjustment. That off-speed pitch was in the dirt yesterday. It was not even something the Texas hitters had to consider as a pitch that they had to be waiting on. If she can land that in the zone today, could make her more effective here against Texas.
Atwood got ahead of that one, scooped up onto first. The play made by Udall. So two-way now, runner on third for Alyssa Washington. The second baseman has now reached in 9 straight games. Washington gives one a ride to left, but on the run is Bejarano. 6 hitters coming up for BYU against Citlali Gutierrez. Hunter Ava over to Mitchell. One away. Up next for Texas, they have a big ranked matchup on the road in Tallahassee against Florida State.
They're going to head out to Florida, play Florida State before heading down to Orlando for their series against UCF. Texas getting the 3 newcomers to the Big 12 back to back to back. But that midweek matchup, another good test for Texas and really for the pitching staff. Can they go into, again, an environment known, not necessarily hostile, but a very impactful, very powerful crowd there at Florida State, and be able to maintain the nerves?
Even in the middle of conference play, still playing ranked non-conference opponents. Is that one turned foul?
Well, the last couple years, Texas has left the selection show not as happy with where they've been.
That's
seated.
a very nice way to put it.
You know, 2022, they were not a top 16 seed whatsoever. They went out to Washington, obviously made noise, were able to fight their way to the World Series. Last year hosted regionals, but weren't a top 8 seed, so unfortunately didn't host supers. And part of that was not playing enough games against the top quad. And so Coach White and his staff making sure that's not a question this year.
Strikeout number 1 for Citlali Gutierrez. Yeah, there was the infamous video a couple of years ago during the selection show where Texas was not hosting and obviously weren't thrilled about it. But as you said, used it as motivation. Paid off. There is a 2-out looping single to left center. The first hit of this one for the Cougars, Kayla Kamoku.
Well, and in 2022, the way they started season, everyone was stuck on their back practically. The nightmare of Clearwater for them, and that really, while was the turning point for them, was also the downfall in the fact they didn't win some of those ranked opponents. So the staff had a hunch that they wouldn't host, but when it comes to realization, it's hard to fake that you're happy you're getting sent across the country. But again, they used it as motivation and ended up being the first unranked team to make it all the way to the championship series in Oklahoma City.
Last year made it to the Supers, where they ultimately came up short against Tennessee, but in good shape so far this year. Won 23 of their first 26 games, many of them against ranked opponents. In a few weeks, they'll head to Stillwater to take on number 7 Oklahoma State. And then after that, come home to take on Oklahoma.
Well, and those 2 series are going to be key for the Big 12 standings.
Morrow chops it into the glove of Gutierrez. And the sophomore using that 5'11" frame toward hitting .403 on the year. 19 walks to boot.
Well, Stewart moving down from the 3-hole to the 6-hole. Actually, her and Julie Mitchell just really flipping places almost. She's been batting in the 3 spot. A little bit of a cooling off period, so Coach White and Singleton moving her down, see if she can see some better pitches, take some pressure off her.
Hit one of Texas's 3 home runs last night. BYU coming off their first Big 12 victory in program history in the series finale last weekend against Texas Tech. Walked it off on Monday night against Utah Valley. Katie Stewart sends one to left. Those are 2 hard hit balls to left field from the last 2 Texas batters, Washington and now Stewart, but both were long outs.
Well, that was an off-speed pitch that Katie Stewart waited on. She got good barrel on that. You also saw Bejarano playing over just a little bit. Texas timing Dolly up pretty well right now. Just haven't gotten it to fall yet.
Katie Simmons earning the start. Hit her first homer of the season last night, hitting .440 on the year. One of the top catchers in the nation coming out of Humble, Texas.
There's that off-speed pitch again from Dolly. Again, starting to be more of a factor in this game than it was last night. That's a pitch she has to have in order to keep Texas off balance and keep them guessing.
Fooled Simmons, count 2-2.
And you can locate a changeup low in the zone and then throw a hard pitch that tunnels almost the same way. It's really to your advantage, but last night Dolly couldn't throw that changeup in the zone, so Texas was able to time up her hard stuff and start to get to her early.
With 4 on the action clock, gotta hurry. 1 on the clock. And Simmons skies one into foul territory. Agbayani reaches back to make the grab. Simmons recorded for the second out. Here comes Vivi Martinez. So Dolly has suddenly retired 4 in a row after allowing the first 3 batters to reach.
Hitting 8th and playing shortstop, number 23, Vivi Martinez.
The sophomore Martinez hitting .294. Fooled Martinez there.
Well, you see a lot of check swings by Texas. So right now, when it's in the zone, they're not sure if it's a change or if it's a hard pitch. We saw the curve go away from Katie Simmons. They're going to have to start to have a plan and try to stick to that right now. Doesn't look like they have a real plan other than see the ball in the strike zone. A lot of hitters counts too. Katie Simmons was 2-0, an opportunity to be able to swing the bat freely. But when a pitcher can throw off speed in a hitter's count, it doesn't let you get too comfortable. Well, and that's the pitch right there that Coach White and Steve Singleton want to see their offense be able to swing at. That pitch is just too good for Vivi Martinez to let that go by without an offering.
thought about it, did not go around. Full count coming up. Martinez heads to first with a 2-out walk.
Well, that's a walk and obviously a base runner for Texas. The check swings are indecisiveness to me. She's not comfortable in the box. She's not seeing the ball real well. There are 2 back-to-back check swings on pitches that weren't in the zone, which means she's not being able to track it all the way in.
Ashton Maloney getting the start in this one after Leanne Good started in her place in the last game. Maloney, a .367 hitter, had back-to-back multi-hit games against Houston. Texas with a couple of walks and a couple of hits against Daly so far. 2-0.
Well, Texas is being patient in the fact that Daly works behind, but then comes at you with the off speed. It does keep you guessing on how she's really going to approach each at bat. They have been patient, though. They do have 5 3-ball counts so far. Ashton Maloney looking to possibly be the 6th.
Three and one the count now to Maloney with Henry on deck.
That was a good pitch to take by Maloney. While it was a strike, it was low, out, not something you can barrel up. And even borderline at that on being high enough to be in the zone.
Back-to-back walks issued by Daly, and we go back up to the top of the order. So the first time through the order for Texas, they got 3 walks and 2 hits. One of those hits a double by Caden Henry, who's coming up again. Freshman has that average up to 444. Daly's thrown a lot of pitches already, 44 through an inning and 2/3.
Well, the last few hitters, she's starting to miss up in the zone. Whether that's overthrowing or not being able to locate a rise ball low enough. I have to see Coach Meredith's probably calling curve screw and Daly just getting up underneath it too much. But has to be able to challenge with more than just her changeup down in the zone. You saw Meredith there talking, showing his hand, getting up under the ball. She's pulling up. He wants her to stay down so that way the pitch can stay in through the zone.
Martinez on second, Maloney over at first. Henry with 7 doubles on the year and 6 home runs. Sends one into the gap in left center. That's going to drive in Martinez. And here comes Maloney. Caden Henry with a 2-run double, 3-0 Longhorns.
Caden Henry, first strike she sees. She is on time. You see her stay in her legs. She's able to drive the barrel through this ball into the left center gap. A double, no doubt, off the bat, but scores 2 for Texas. Good piece of hitting by the freshman.
You know, when they first moved her into that leadoff spot, went through a bit of a cold spell. That is ancient history. This is now 7 consecutive multi-hit games. She has 2 doubles in this one. Here's Mia Scott at the plate. Scott walked in the first inning.
Well, like Scott, Kane Henry has really good hand-eye coordination, but she has to stay in her legs. She's fast enough sometimes to beat out a mishit in the infield, but when she wants her power and to be consistent in the gaps, she has to be able to stay in her legs. She did a great job of it on that hit there.
After walking in the first, Mia Scott has now reached in 16 straight games. Former number 5 infield recruit in the nation. She sends one to left center on the run, making the grab is unreal. And an SEC showdown of A&M and Mississippi State get ready to take place. Texas's future conference.
It'd be so interesting to see how the SEC shakes out next year after Texas and Oklahoma scoot over into that conference.
Big 12 is going to look drastically different. We keep talking about how many ranked teams there are in the Big 12, 3 in the top 10, Texas, Oklahoma, and Oklahoma State. 2 of those will be gone next year. Right now, what is the best conference in college softball?
Well, I think top to bottom, it's the SEC, but Big 12 makes a push because you have Texas, Oklahoma State, and Oklahoma all ranked in the top 10, and then Baylor's in there in the top 25. So hard to say, but the top 3 for the Big 12 right now with Oklahoma, Oklahoma State, and Texas just make it so competitive in my mind, in my opinion.
Taryn Lennon back to Gutierrez. Texas number 3 in the latest top 10. And number 3 in the RPI. LSU beat Texas on Tuesday right ahead of them. Oklahoma at 24-1. Oklahoma State 21-3 on the year, despite losing Kelly Maxwell to their arch rival, the Oklahoma Sooners. Oklahoma State off to a pretty good start.
Yeah, that was a big move in the offseason. And head coach Kenny Gaske not shy about his feelings on that one.
And that was interesting to hear those comments in public. Wasn't thrilled with the move.
You know, I think you and I had a conversation about it, and I didn't necessarily disagree with his statement. And, you know, I pointed out to you it would have been like if mid-career I decided to transfer to A&M. I don't think Texas fans would have still honored what I accomplished. You know what I mean? And so I get what he's saying. But you know what? I actually commend him not just keeping the feelings in and saying, hey, look, we're all upset about it. It's not what we wanted to see unfold. We didn't want to see her in conference play again, but it's what happened, and let's move forward.
Another ground out, another 1-2-3 inning in 8-pitch inning for BYU Cougars. Gordon Eakin. Coach, what was your message to your team heading into the series finale in this one against the Longhorns?
Basically the same thing as we told them after last night. We got to compete every pitch of every game and just keep competing. I was a little bit more proud of their fight in game 1 today, so we just got to keep competing today in game 2.
I was going to ask you, what did you take away from game 1 today, especially offensively from your team?
Just that we competed. I think we did a better job competing. I mean, we had, just like this game, base on balls, they score. So if we don't give up the base on balls defensively, we've got a chance, and then we got to pick up those runs offensively when we have bases loaded and our 3-4s up. We just got to pick those runs up, or at least one up in that situation.
All right, appreciate it, Coach. Thank you. Gordon Eakin's squad with a single so far in the second inning, and that is all for Texas. 3 runs off 3 hits, including one by Jolie Mitchell, who singled in the first inning. Mitchell now riding a 10-game hitting streak. Has reached an 11 straight.
Well, the talk for Texas offense early in season was Reese Atwood, and right now the conversation should be Jolie Mitchell. Her ability to not just hit consistently, but flash the power. She can use the small ball when needed. Such a threat for Texas in the box with runners on, or in this situation, a leadoff. She's a hard out.
Two and one. Jolie Mitchell, the All-ACC first teamer with Notre Dame. She already had a terrific year last season. 79 RBIs, 19 home runs this year, hitting nearly 500. She didn't start the season as an everyday starter with Texas. She certainly is right now.
Yeah, Texas had to find ways to get her in the lineup, keep her in the lineup. A role she had to adjust to, but there was a midweek game, Alex, against Houston Christian. She came off the bench, ended up going 3 for 3, and has not come out of the lineup since then. We interviewed her after that game, and her intensity and her passion about wanting to be part of Texas, wanting to be a piece of this program. I think she knew what her talent was, but she's also feeding off of all the talent around her, which has allowed her to level up her game.
Experienced some tough love growing up. The story I love about her, her mom says Jolie first picked up a bat when she was 6 years old, and the mom admitted, she said, my own daughter was terrible at softball early on. Let's just call it what it is, but didn't take no for an answer, and ended up obviously becoming a terrific player.
Hey, some of us take a little bit longer. I played it in first grade and quit. Didn't go back to it till 4th grade.
Were you ever called terrible?
I'll have
To your
go
face,
back and ask my dad. That's how he defined my play.
Here's Reese Atwood, ahead 1-0.
Well, Dolly using that off speed, and we saw Reese Atwood be fooled by it in the first inning during her at bat. I would expect to see it back-to-back from Dolly here if she wants to stay in this at bat against Reese Atwood. You heard us talking earlier about Reese's batting stance and how much it's changed. To the left is early in season. You see she was in a squat a little bit more.
Runner is going, the throw wide, and Mitchell able to slide underneath it as Agbayani was heading her way. Another stolen base for the Longhorns.
Well, good arm by Morrow. Good attempt by Agbayani, but just out of reach. Heads up by Jolie Mitchell, sliding straight in, though.
And another walk issued. Back-to-back walks to start the third by Daly. For Jolie Mitchell, 11 for 11 in stolen bases. And we'll have Alyssa Washington coming up, but first a pinch runner taken over for Atwood. Adea Wallace heads to first.
Well, we just talked to Coach Eakin, and he said free passes need to be limited because they're scoring for Texas. It's the free passes that are hurting us. And in the second inning, Vivi Martinez and Ashton Maloney both walked with 2 outs, and that was the scoring that happened in the bottom of that inning. But right now, 2 back-to-back walks give Texas 2 on with no outs, and a lot of freedom now to be able to put more pressure on the Cougar defense.
They have 5 walks in 2 innings. Wallace and Mitchell on. Texas with multiple base runners in every inning as Pete Meredith, associate head coach, has a talk with Daly. BYU missing multiple pitchers in this series. Alyssa Washington coming up. She lined out to left to end the first.
Yeah, we knew we probably wouldn't see Kason Korth. We haven't seen Chloe Temples either for the BYU Cougars. When you use a full staff approach, that can really throw a wrench in your game plan when you have pitchers who might be middle to late relief that are no longer available. It doesn't allow you to have arms that offset each other.
Washington over to short. Mitchell has to avoid the tag, avoid the play completely, and they get the out at first. One away, two in scoring position.
Not a hard hit off the bat of Alyssa Washington, but does the job, advances the runner 60 feet. So now two are in scoring position for Katie Stewart.
Stewart, 5 home runs so far.
Remember, Stewart did have the loud out in the second inning. A deep drive to left field. Bejarano was able to catch that one, but it was a good hard hit. So Katie Stewart on time with Daly.
Stewart bounces it over to second. They go home and get the runner. Mitchell tagged out. Nice defensive play by the Cougars.
Well, Gordon Eakin said if defense can play, they have a chance to eliminate base runners. Great job by Kamoku playing in, able to handle that. Good throw to Morrow.
BYU still within just 3. It feels like a lot different. Feels like a much larger deficit, but that's not the case. They are hanging right in there. Here is Katie Simmons for Texas with runners on the corners, 2 away. First pitch ball. And Texas has had 8 base runners in this one. But the Longhorns 1 for 6 with runners on right now.
Well, that's what right now, while Dolly's putting some runners on base, she's able to make the pitches in crucial situations to get some weak outs. The ground ball off of Alyssa Washington wasn't hard. She got Katie Stewart on an easy ground ball there to get the fielder's choice at home. If you throw the ball within the zone and allow your defense to have a chance to play, it's going to create momentum. When you continue to work from behind, it starts to lull everybody to sleep a little bit, get them on their heels.
Three and 1 the count now to Simmons. Third walk of the inning, and the bases will be loaded for Vivi Martinez.
Shortstop, number 23, Vivi Martinez.
6 walks in 2 2/3 now, including one to Martinez, who comes up with the bases full. There's a first pitch strike from Daly.
Well, not a bad take there by Martinez. You don't want to see good pitches go by, but with Daly being inconsistent this inning, allowing the 3 walks, you also don't want to be overly aggressive and get yourself out when she could put you on for free.
Wallace, Stewart, and Simmons aboard. We saw Martinez with a few check swings in her last at bat. Tied up a little bit, ended up earning the walk. Behind here, 1-2.
That last pitch, an off-speed pitch, just up in the zone, so not something Martinez was ready for.
2-2.
And it's not a bad take. When you're not on time for an off-speed pitch, you don't want to try to offer at it and have a weak ball in play. So Martinez laying off that one.
She's hit 2 grand slams in her career. Sends that one fair down the line in right field. 2 runs are going to score. Martinez racing to second. And that is a 3-run triple for Vivi Martinez. Texas breaks this one open.
Well, Martinez worked the count. This pitch inside. She's seen Daly try to get her here in both at-bats. She drives that just down the line. Great piece of hitting. Hugs the line, gets right past Ava there at first base. Anytime that ball gets all the way to the corner, it's almost a guaranteed triple. 3 RBIs, though, for Vivi Martinez.
Now Texas ahead comfortably. That one off the bat of Maloney. The scoop on the first, not in time, and Martinez will score. Everything going Texas's way right now. A 4-run 3rd inning.
Well, Maloney continuing to put the pressure on BYU. The triple off of Vivi Martinez's bat. The very next pitch, Maloney puts the ball in play. Ricochet off the pitcher, but you also saw Ava come off the bag. She had stayed on the bag. They might have had a closer play on Maloney, but because she had come off the bag, Maloney was easily safe.
Martinez has been clutch in her career with the bases loaded. 2 grand slams, 1 this year, and then a triple a moment ago. Maloney is going and thrown out at second. Mike White, Coach, what have your thoughts been on these 2 games we've seen today, now in the second game of the doubleheader?
Yeah, I think we're coming out and swinging the bats a little bit better here in the second game for sure. You know, get going there, using our speed a little bit. They've thrown in a couple of base runners, which has made it a little more difficult, but we're driving the ball well, finding some holes.
Coach, what were the things that you guys wanted to see from Citlali Gutierrez going into this start today?
Working ahead, coming inside the left-handers a little bit better than she has been, using her off speeds, and she's doing all those things right now. She's using our field, and we're playing some good defense.
All right, thank you, Coach.
Thank you, Holcomb.
Citlali Gutierrez, 1 hit allowed, no walks, and a strikeout. Second time through the order now for BYU. Here's Maddie Bejarano, who grounded out in the first. Gutierrez, such a great high school career. 10 no-hitters her senior year, 20 in her career. In the state championship game on this field, struck out 14 and hit a home run. That was 3 years ago here at McCombs.
Well, I've seen Citlali Gutierrez do a lot of things. Swing the bat is not one of them, so I don't know that she's going to get that opportunity here at Texas. But right on cue, first pitch here to Bejarano was inside, something that the staff is challenging her to be more comfortable doing to left-handed hitters. And in terms of working ahead, 8 of 11 first pitch strikes so far in this game.
First 3-ball count of the day for Gutierrez. Bejarano shallow center. Martinez is there.
Well, another inside pitch there by Gutierrez to Bejarano. Jammed her for that easy fly ball for Vivi Martinez. When a pitcher can work both sides of the plate, it makes it a lot harder for a hitter to stay committed to just one plan, especially when you're in a hitter's count. If you favor one side, a lot of times they'll predict that, and if they're right, you give up some solid hits. But being able to now go to the inner half, especially when you're not ahead for Citlali Gutierrez, allows hitters to be surprised.
Saw the frustration there a moment ago in the dugout by Bejarano. Her team has been held to a single so far. Remember, they were limited to a single last night. Here's Lily Owens. Owens chopping one up the middle. Martinez moving to her left. Nice play by Vivi Martinez.
Well, if there's any doubt why Vivi Martinez is in the game at shortstop, she will answer that question now. Such a smooth play going up the middle. Her range is incredible. The throw on the run on the money right there. There have been times that Vivi Martinez has made multiple errors, and Coach White and staff give her a little bit of a break. But there's a reason that sophomore continues to get the opportunities at shortstop, and it's because she can make plays like that.
Having a nice game with that play, and of course the 3-run triple at the plate. 1-0 on the way to Hunter Ava. It's a foul ball.
As a pitcher, a play like that fires you up, because that can be a bouncer up the middle, a single, something that gives a team just enough momentum. But when your defense makes a play like that, it just takes the wind out of the sails of the opposing team's offense. Surprised to see Citlali Gutierrez having almost as much success, well, really the same success as Mac Morgan, another hard thrower with down spin.
Ava a little bit too far underneath this one. And Mia Scott is there at 7. She's got 2 doubles so far today. She'll be facing a new pitcher in there for BYU, Alyssa Aguilar. The junior out of Tucson takes over for Daly. And this is with the first pitch.
Well, and even though Caden Henry's seeing the ball and seeing it well, driving for 2 doubles, as you mentioned, still going to keep BYU honest, show that, hey, I can lay this down if you're not playing me appropriately. The speed of Henry, always a factor.
Some other action going on around the nation right now, correct?
Around the nation, around the Big 12. So Iowa State and U of H actually playing a doubleheader today as well because of weather. Iowa State run ruling Houston 9-1 in game 1 of that series. As I mentioned, they will play again today in the Big 12. Baylor and Kansas going to face off. OU and Tech, and UCF and Oklahoma State will round it out tonight.
Texas outscoring BYU in this series 27-3 as that bunt attempt turned foul.
Well, Aguilar is going to throw a lot of off speed at Texas. She used that changeup. She throws a little bit lower speed anyways, high 50s, low 60s. So the speedsters for Texas are going to have to really commit to making sure they get a good part of the ball if they're going to use their short game.
Henry with the dart off the glove of Kamoku, and the freshman reaches for the third time today. Henry 3 for 3. Number of stolen bases this weekend as well. She's on first with no outs for Mia Scott.
Well, Henry seeing the ball really well. That ball barreled up right at Kamoku. You see her shaking her hand. Might have got her in the palm. Taking her thumb back just a little bit. Equivalent of a catcher probably catching a drop ball wrong. Pulls on your thumb.
They've already dealt with a number of injuries on their team this year. I mean, that was a rocket off the bat of Henry.
Saw her get out there, take a stab at it, but her reaction, that had to have not gotten into the webbing. That was more around the thumb and the heel of the glove.
They're already missing their starting center fielder and a number of starting pitchers as well.
Almost defensive reflexes there.
I don't blame her. Looks like she will tough it out and stay in there. So again, Henry with a leadoff single. Mia Scott 0 for 1 with the walk.
0 for 1, but she put a charge in one out there to center field. Jalen Lambert made a great diving play.
Texas out hitting BYU 6-1. And up big on the scoreboard. Kamoku underneath it. Agbayani takes it after the wind moved it a little bit. One away.
That wind is really starting to come in strong. This ball looked like it was going to be closer to the second base bag. Good job by Agbayani not giving up on it, continuing to keep herself under that all the way back to the pitcher circle.
Comes Jolie Mitchell. Singled in the first, walked in the third. And again, hitting 500. That would be good for top 5 in the nation as of right now. And the wind has been blowing in, so after hitting 3 home runs last night, none for Texas in the previous game, none so far in this one. Mitchell reaches for that.
As much as Texas offense has been on display for this series, I have to wonder at what point here against BYU are you going to be ready for the off-speed pitch in a hitter's count or back-to-back as Aguilar just did. I feel like that is what BYU is doing well, utilizing that off-speed in counts that you wouldn't normally see it in. Also backing it up, even though the first changeup might not have been great, being able to throw it again and then land it in the zone.
Two coming up to Mitchell. Henry is going. The throw onto second. It's a good throw. But Henry appears to be safe after the very delayed call. There was no call, in fact, but she looks to be safe.
Well, it looked like it was going to be a close play. Great jump by Henry. Good throw by Morrow. But as Agbayani makes the tag, ball in the dirt, obvious safe call. Umpire doesn't feel the need to give the signal.
Jolie Mitchell to left field, and Texas will score their 8th run of the contest, which means they will have BYU down to their final 3 outs of the weekend coming up in the 5th.
Well, after a hefty dose of off speed, Aguilar offers it up again. This time, Jolie Mitchell on time with that. Just a little flick out in front still, but a flick of the bat barrels that up down the left field line. Caden Henry, having gotten herself in scoring position, comes home easily.
Mitchell's reached 3 times in this one. Caden Henry has reached 3 times. Atwood walked in the 3rd. Looks like Mike White will go to his bench, or at least talking about Atwood re-entering the game. She's had a big series. Texas with 8 runs off 7 hits, no errors. For BYU 0-1-0.
So we were talking about earlier, Reese Atwood, you see here, her legs are bent. She's in her legs a little bit more. However, now she's standing more straight up and down. That's allowing her to get a little bit more feel. You also see her front foot open a little bit more to allow herself to get her hands through. You gotta love the adjustments in season, but also the want to be able to learn and feel and correct as quickly as possible.
Remember last year, Atwood went through that stretch as Steve Singleton all smiles as his offense putting up big numbers. Went through that stretch of delivering a walk-off hit in 3 straight games. Texas record. Eight straight games with an RBI. That was a Texas record she set last year and tied again this season. Just a tremendous performer, and only a sophomore.
Well, and as a young athlete, it's the mental side of the game that has to get stronger as she goes. Everyone knows she has the talent, she has the capability to hit, but can you understand how people are pitching you and adjust as time goes on?
Rare strikeout of Atwood, so 2 away here in the 4th inning, and a pinch hitter coming up for the Longhorns as they will turn to the freshman Ryan Brown, who's still looking for her first collegiate hit. Has reached a couple of times on walks so far this year. Top 50 recruit in the nation coming out of Tennessee. Big time power prospect.
Well, Brown originally committed to the University of Missouri. Changed her mind before signing day, decided to join the Longhorns, but if you ask the athletes about hitting the building or who can hit the scoreboard, they'll tell you Ryan Brown has some power too to be able to launch balls out of here.
Ryan Brown launches one to left center. Congratulations, Brown. You have hit the first home run of your career.
Well, you love to see it. The first hit of her college career, also her first home run of her college career. Ryan Brown, welcome to D1 softball. She gets all of this, and you see the power from her legs and her bat speed. I love the bat toss. She knew off the bat that she had hit that far enough.
Nothing Texas. Another pinch hitter on the way. Vic Hunter freshman out of Houston. She's hit a couple of home runs already in her career.
Well, Texas not going away quietly. 8 out of their 10 runs in this game have been with 2 outs. So continuing to put the pressure on and not letting up against BYU.
That ball traveled at 84 miles per hour off the bat of Ryan Brown and traveled 288 feet, 1 foot shy of Katie Stewart's homer against Penn State a few weeks ago.
Well, 3 miles an hour slow or faster than Katie Stewart's home run. But you would expect that, obviously, on a line is going to be faster than something that gets air under it. But incredible strength by both those athletes. And then you mix in, you know, Jolie Mitchell, Reese Atwood. It's a lot of power and strength in the middle of that Texas lineup. Oh, and let's not mention that's also into the wind out there.
Unreal. We saw in Victoria Hunter's first swing. She was swinging for the fences. Behind 1 and 2. She lifts one to center. Here we go. 5th inning on the way. Texas has the Cougars down to their final 3. Outscored BYU 30-3. Through 3 games, Citlali Gutierrez out here for inning number 5 with her team up by 10. And a pinch hitter up for BYU, Breezy Hayward. And swing and a miss for Hayward. Hayward, by the way, is an incredible story. Former Texas Tech transfer a couple of years ago, first arrived in Lubbock, went through mandatory physical. They found out she had cardiomyopathy, an enlarged heart. They said she'd never play again. They told her not to have long conversations because it would exert too much effort on her heart. Went through a number of treatments, appointments, medications, ended up wanting a fresh start. Made her way to BYU, was able to get healthy, play softball again. Just an incredible story. And now getting an opportunity to hit today in the finale.
Well, you love to hear when athletes have the drive to continue to play and figure out how can I make this happen.
But right up against Citlali Gutierrez, who's been just about unhittable today. A single allowed, and that's all.
Well, much better spots by Citlali Gutierrez, continuing to stay low in the zone. Even her misses are competitive right now. You see there the 8 ground outs. A testament to the drop ball that she throws on both sides of the plate. A couple flyouts and just the singular strikeout, not something Texas fans are used to seeing from Citlali Gutierrez. She uses that off-speed curve a lot to get some strikeouts. But using her defense today, which is what she needs to do to maintain efficiency.
She's only thrown 49 pitches.
Well, the first inning being the most at 14. Innings 3 were 9 and 8. So really quick work by Citlali Gutierrez.
Texas's pitching staff looking for their 11th shutout of the season. They're already top 5 in the nation in that category. Martinez backs up. She has had a great day out there in the field. BYU down to their last out.
For BYU now batting for Haley Morrow, number 12, Lauren Flanders.
Here is Lauren Flanders pinch hitting with 2 outs in the 5th. Pokes one foul. Up next for Texas, they will take on Florida State. Florida State on March 20th in a night contest in Tallahassee. Should be a good one.
From there, we'll continue down to Orlando, continue their Big 12 play. Welcome the newcomers to the Big 12.
Flanders to Gutierrez. And there you go. Shutout number 11 on the season for Texas, and also their 11th run rule victory of the year by a final of 10-0 as they sweep the Cougars.
Well, Coach White wanted to see strong first innings out of his team. He saw that on both sides of the ball. Defensively, the pitchers set the tone, going right at the Cougar hitters. Defense this weekend, flawless, well, almost flawless. And offensively, they were able to get it started early and continue to put the pressure on BYU's defense. It's just a great recipe for success.
For Texas, 10 runs off 8 hits, no errors for BYU. No runs, 1 hit, no errors. We'll wrap things up after the break. Against BYU.
I mean, we've had quite a weekend this past weekend at U of H and LSU. We've been on the road, so, I mean, it just feels great to be back home and for sure be in front of our fans and just get back to what we are and the team that we know that we can be.
Caden, you were quite on time with some pitches today. Talk about what you've been working on mentally and physically.
I mean, mentally, it's just being disciplined and just knowing what I can attack hard and what I just need to lay off of. And, I mean, just getting timing down. That's just the key of the game.
Your pitching staff performed so well this weekend. Mac, Morgan, Sitlali, Gutierrez. What did you make of the staff?
Oh, I mean, they're doing their job. As long as they can do their job and we can back them up, I mean, we're basically unstoppable. Like, I'm really proud of them for sure because they work day in and day out for sure.
You guys head to Florida, another road trip. What is the mindset of this team to make sure that there's not a repeat of last week?
I mean, just go and get it. Stay simple. Be the team that we know we can be. Attack the pitches that we know we can attack, and just keep clean D for sure.
Thank you so much, Caden. We appreciate it. Best of luck on the road.
Thank you.
So here we go. Texas gets ready to hit the road now, and after that, before you know it, Oklahoma State and Oklahoma, you know, they went through the rough patch. Lost to Houston, lost to LSU. They weren't not going to lose the rest of the way, but overall, I mean, you can see by the reaction of Mike White and Steve Singleton, they have to be happy at this point in the season.
Well, yeah, they're very happy with this outing. Everything that was a question mark or that went wrong last weekend was shored up, showed that they can be able to execute in pressure situations, starting pitching, good, strong first innings. They need to carry that into Florida with them.
Texas will hit the road for the next few weeks, won't have another home game until April. For Kat Osterman, I'm Alex Loeb. We thank you for watching. We'll see you next time.